So we'll go to the purport, which said I've taken a few points from the purport. Said, it is customary throughout the world that a condemned man is offered a sumptuous hot last meal. For the condemned man, however, such a feast is a chilling reminder of his imminent death, and therefore he cannot enjoy it. Similarly, no sane human being can be satisfied with material life because death is standing near and may strike at any moment. So, next point. If one is sitting in one's living room with a deadly snake at one's side, knowing that at any moment the poisonous fangs might pierce the flesh, how can one sit peacefully and watch television or read a book? Similarly, unless one is more or less crazy, one cannot be enthusiastic or even peaceful in material life. Knowledge of the inevitability of death should encourage one to become determined in spiritual life. So, this is one thing, that to envision one's deathbed or one's own death, that should lead to some realization that this, whatever we attach to, whatever sense gratification that we are contemplating, we're meditating on, that ultimately we will have to give it up, and we will face this terrible inevitability of death. So therefore it is given the example of a person who is condemned to death, a prisoner who has got a death sentence. So he cannot enjoy anything, because he knows that within a few moments now I'm going to be executed. So how can I enjoy it? He's constantly thinking, I'm going to die now, I'm going to die now. So that meditation, that I'm going to die now. So what use, what space is there in the mind to think of how to enjoy anything? You know, the next moment you're going to be finished. So this is actually one meditation, and Bhagavatam, it actually gives us that clue, that idea that death is upon us. Now we hear there's so many. We hear of Maharaj Parikshit. He only had 7 days. He knew 7 days, then I'm finished. So what's the use of planning for some great, sense gratification? What's the use of going out conquering a kingdom? I know that within 7 days I'm going to be finished. Like that. So that the knowledge of the inevitability of death, you know that you're going to die, then you will not be interested that much in sense gratification. But the problem with us is we think that our life will just extend, we'll just go on. And this body will just continue. Now for so many years, up until ripe old age, then maybe we'll die. But the Bhagavatam actually, it opens our eyes actually to this fact that the inevitability of death. And that, by reading the Bhagavatam, we understand that how can I engage in sinful activity? I may only get a little bit of the senses, squeeze a little bit of gratification of the senses, but the price is there to be paid. The nature's law will inflict punishment. I will even have to go to hellish condition and suffer there because of such sinful activities I may be contemplating. So how can I do that? How can I engage in sinful activity when I know that will, even lead me to hellish condition of life? So just tasting that aspect, just tasting that by the knowledge of the Shastra, then one should easily be able to give up the gross sinful activities. If we hear Bhagavatam, if we hear Bhagavatam like this, we should know this sinful activity, it will be a heavy price to pay, and definitely not worth it. That little drop of sense gratification is definitely not worth that suffering. So then, understanding that, foreseeing that pain and misery which is awaiting, death itself, as I said, death is not at all pleasing. So foreseeing that suffering, that misery, then one should be able to, okay, we don't do it. Better not do it. Like that. And that's the gross things. That's the gross, that's illicit sex life, that's meat eating, that's intoxication. And that's gambling, the gross things. But then we also have more subtle things. Because there's and we can now maybe turn over to the point of himsa, to the point of envy. Because this envy displays itself, and we may say in different ways. So we can think there was this sage, Brigomuni, who had exhibited the different types, and we can also connect it to offenses. Like you commit offenses to someone because you're envious. So what are the different types of offenses we may commit? So we can understand, okay, when are we acting enviously? That's very valuable, because what is envy and how does it manifest itself? How can we see manifestation of envy? So that's one good example we may think about in this connection. And that is the example of Brigomuni. So he had this desire to test who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we know the greatness of a person must be estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. So he made a test, that he would test these personalities, Lord Brahma, Shiva and Lord Vishnu. So he would test them by provoking them, to see if they were maybe under the influence of anger, like that. Or so what's the first person he went to?
Shiva.
Actually no, it wasn't Shiva, was it?
No, it's Brahma.
The first person he went to was Lord Brahma. And what was the kind of envious behavior or offense that he committed, just to test Lord Brahma? Yes,
Mental offense.
it was a mental offense.
Yeah.
And how did it manifest?
What was it? He didn't like. He didn't show him proper respect or something. Or was that what she?
No greetings, is it? He didn't. He just went in. He just went in. It doesn't give any kind of respect or any kind of gesture of greeting to his father, to his father, Lord Brahma, willfully, just out of neglect, just to show neglect, And that was an offense within the mind. So this is subtle, and this we may see that sometimes we may not like someone, and then we just don't show give any kind of welcome, or when he comes in the room, then we just I'd rather not speak with him. I'd rather not even look at him like that, or just want that person out of the picture. And that may be actually that mental offense. And actually said this positively. He said that that if one is not happy upon seeing a devotee like that, then what is that? Is there one verse saying that if one is not happy when one sees a devotee? Then I can't remember the exact verse, but I think remember slightly there's a verse saying that if one is not happy upon seeing a devotee, that is not at all very good. That is that's a sign that our heart is contaminated. Right? If you cannot be, and especially those who are in a superior position, like I said, it is said in the 4th canto, 8th chapter, verse 34. It said that Mananda Muni says everyone should act like this. When he meets a superior person, he should be very pleased. When he meets equal, he should make friendship with him. When he meets someone on an inferior position, he should be compassionate towards him. So see, when one meets one superior, one should be very pleased. So this ability to be pleased, that should actually stretch to all devotees. We should not carry anything within our heart, any malice towards any devotees. And when the malice is there, enviousness and malice is there, we find...
What means malice?
Malice, that means cruel-heartedness, or like... Onsinne. So if there's any like that, a malice in our heart, then it manifests like that. We just want that person, not to exist, or we just want to get away, And this indication, this is a small indication. If we're feeling like this and seeing different persons out of various reasons, that is a good opportunity to ask, oh, is there some envy here? Is there something we need to get out? So Bhrigu Muni, he came to Lord Brahma, he didn't give any, he purposely neglected Lord Brahma, like that. Willfully neglected him. And Lord Brahma became angry, and what happened? Lord Brahma became very angry, but somehow he controlled himself, isn't it? He just cooled down. He felt the anger come up, but then, he calmed down. And there wasn't much, of any reaction to it, as far as I remember. You may correct me, please, if I'm wrong. And then Bhrigu Muni, he went on to the next, Lord Shiva. And what happened there?
He didn't want to embrace him, his brother.
Like Lord Shiva was happy to see Bhrigu Muni, who is actually his brother, and he wanted to embrace him. But Bhrigu Muni, he perfectly resisted and said, "No, you don't come near me. You are an impure person. You are smeared with ashes from the crematorium. I don't want anything. I don't want that contaminated ashes on my body. So, you don't." And Lord Shiva, he became angry. He became very angry, and he took up his trident and actually wanted to kill Bhrigu Muni. But thankfully, Parvati was there, and he said, "No, don't do this. He's a Brahmana. Don't kill him." As we know that. So that was another type. And what kind of offense was that? Because this was another category of offense.
Speech.
This was the offense of speech, because he said something. You're dirty. You're impure. You reside in a crematorium where they burn the dead bodies, and you smear the ashes on your own body. So how can I embrace you? You're such an impure person. So that was an offense spoken, like a verbal offense, like that. So that also, that's because this inimical attitude is there within the heart. We don't like certain devotees, and we don't like, devotees in our association. Then when that lingers, when that just stays there, and we don't deal with it, we don't clean it up, then eventually it builds. It just mounts, and then at one point it just comes to speech. We say something nasty, we say something inimical, like that, out of anger, like that. And then that's a second type of offense, the second category of offense, which is a verbal offense. So, so the next, we may venture to go on to the, after that happens, Bhrigu Muni saved the life, he escapes with his life, Bhrigu Muni. Dangerous experiment. Very dangerous experiment. So but somehow he escaped the trident to being pierced by the trident of Lord Shiva. So he proceeded to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu was on Ananta Says, and he was being massaged. His feet was being massaged by Goddess Lakshmi. And he proceeded straight to Vishnu and then kicked him forcefully, violently on the chest, like that. And Lord Vishnu, he was astonished, but instead of becoming angry, as in both the cases of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, he was thinking that he is a Brahmana, he is a worshipful Brahmana, and he would inquire that my chest is as hard as stone. So Anka said, maybe you hurt your foot trying to touch by kicking it in this way. So he was concerned for the welfare of Bhrigu Muni, like that. He didn't get angry, and that's how Bhrigu Muni he know that Lord Vishnu, he is not at all under control of anger. He doesn't get angry on his own personal account, like that. So he must be the supreme.
Lakshmi Devi got
Yeah, she got angry, and she cursed. I don't know if she actually cursed, but she became very inimical towards the Brahman, in the sense that she wouldn't keep them in poverty. She wouldn't award them much wealth. So that's the one curse of Brahmanas. They remain in poverty because they're not very favored by Goddess Lakshmi. And she's not to be blamed in one sense, because once offense committed against the Lord or Vaishnavas, one should not be peaceful, one should become angry. So it is justified that she was actually that was actually a proper, even though Bhrigu Muni was only in the mode of experimenting like that, and didn't have any malice in his heart as such. So that's just to say that there are different types of offenses, and they manifest because there's dirt in the heart. Like the last one we heard was what kind of offense? It was a corporal offense. Corporal offense means offense you commit with your body, and that's considered the most severe. And Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to kill his own son, so that's the most severe corporal, you can say, offense. You want to kill somebody, like that. That's the topmost. That's the end of corporal offenses. So Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to kill his own son, Prahlad Maharaj, and that when he was about to commit that, then Rishingadevi came out of the pillar and ready to kill Hiranyakashipu. So we should know, we should take heed of this and see that we also have to be careful, because if the envious mentality, if that lingers in our heart, and if we don't deal with it immediately when it starts to come up, then we may commit offenses. We may commit mental offenses, we may commit verbal offenses, and if it is really severe, it's acute contamination of envy in our heart, we may even commit corporal offenses. And that may lead us eventually, that can lead us to the result that Hiranyakashipu get, the punishment that Hiranyakashipu got. He was ultimately vanquished totally, his civilization, and he himself was completely vanquished by the Lord. So this, we should not think that it may not happen to us. That this thing is only Hiranyakashipu. This is not relevant to me. This is Hiranyakashipu the Lord is speaking about here. But actually, this is very relevant to all of us. To be very careful how the condition of our heart is. Is there envy there? And if there is, we have to be careful to get it out. And that's one last thing I wanted to end off with. I know some time is not permitting me to go on much further. But I would like to say just one last thing, that to save ourselves from this inimical attitude, we have to learn one thing. We have to learn how to see the devotees as assets. That's the way we'll be able to mitigate enviousness towards them. We have to see them as assets to our own spiritual advancement, to our own purification. We have to see how the devotees, they are assets to that. And with that I will end off and ask for any comments or questions.
Mentioned in verse 27 that if one is envious of the demigods and the mythical culture and the cows and all this, wasn't it written like then his civilization?
He and his civilization is vanquished without delay.
Without delay.
Yes.
That without delay, that's like immediately.
Yes.
So and this thing here has been going on for some time now.
Yes, so you may also look at the society, how many years have society been killing cows, organized slaughter of cows, how long has that been going on? So Prabhupada, he mentioned that just see how long it can go on. This will run out. It's like the prosperity of the Western world, so that is resting on the previous pious activities, of the generations, previous generations. But Prabhupada was stated that pious activity that will run out. And we're actually seeing that. Look at the state of Europe. It's a chaos. It's just a patchwork. They somehow or other patching up so that the machine can go on. But just observing it, you see that it's running out. The employment, the jobs are running out, and the welfare system is being strained. Now there's inimical, there's tension within social groups, within society. So we see that this foundation, or this opulence of the Western world is on a very shaky ground. So immediately, and we also want to think of it like that immediately, like in the terms of cosmic, we have different time scale. We have the time scale, of the human beings. We have of the demigods. Demigods have different time scale, like that, and even there's shorter time scale in lesser animals. So there's in the terms of cosmic time, like just one generation is just a blink of an eye. So, depending how we understand this, that for the demigods, we say one who's envious of demigods. So on the demigod time scale, say one generation of human beings, like say 50, 70 years, that's just a blink of an eye. So we say in that sense, you may say it's without delay, because they're not following properly. This generation, this society is not following properly. They're not, the sacrifice is not being conducted properly. So then the demigods may say, within a short delay, within a short moment for the demigods, this whole society is, being vanquished. So I would suggest that maybe it should be seen like that. Like it takes some time for the pious credit to be destroyed, like that. If we commit offenses to a Vaishnava, it goes very fast. Then it says immediately, then the law says immediately. But just by sinful activity, then it takes some time, for your good karma to be, depleted. But if the mentality is there, you're on the path of destruction. It's just a matter of time. You will be destroyed. We will be destroyed if we're on the path of Hiranyakashipu, like that. But when the offense against the Vaishnava is there, it goes all the more quickly. So I would say like that. Yes.
Thank you for a nice class.
Thank you.
So one should not have any anger inside, and it doesn't matter if it's a devotee or non-devotee. You should try not to have any anger at all.
See, the thing about anger, like I said, you may use your anger as someone who is envious to a devotee of the Lord. So that is there. But in order to use that anger properly, then we have to have control of our senses. We have to be ourselves pure itself. Because if we ourselves are controlled by anger, it's a very powerful force. So spiritual masters, you say sometimes they're angry at the disciple, like I said, just to correct the mentality, but it's used just like an instrument. The anger is just used just to correct the disciple, so he understands that I should not do this, I'm doing wrong here, I should stop, I should do the proper thing. So we say spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, and we say spiritual master, we see, we have disciples today, we have this spiritual master coming, sometimes we say they may be angry, but they're not carrying any enviousness in their heart, they're just using it as an instrument, they're using the anger as an instrument, just to educate.
On a child,
on a child, we may do. So, if we're able to use anger like that, we're not envious of the person. It's not like we hate that person. Then anger may be used as for educational purpose. But as soon as there's envy, we have some hatred toward that person. Then we use anger. Then it will come back to us. We'll be punished for that. So we should understand very well when it's proper for us to use anger, when it will be to the benefit of that person. If we can use it so that person is benefited, then we will also be benefited. But if we use it to harm that, the point is to harm that person, then we ourselves will also become harmed. So we should understand that when that's going on. If we do sometimes display anger and it's harmful to that person, and it becomes harmful to us, then we understand we did something wrong here. This was not proper. Then we need to correct. Because it's a learning experience. Life is a learning experience. We need sometimes to make mistakes, and we should just understand. Okay, that mistake was there. So I just control myself a little bit more careful. And I control this anger, because at this time I used it improperly and I received a negative result. So I should be more careful. I should not do the same mistake again. So like this. Okay? So we can stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ki jai.